Homan Podcast time.
Well, that's right. Binford Tools is proud to present a home improvement podcast. My name is Adam Neal, my co-host, Jordan. Hi, Jordan.
What's up, Adam? How you doing?
Well, I'm good. I'd say a lot's changed since the last time we recorded.
Has it? What did we do last time?
Well, I'm specifically
it was
referring
Halloween,
to...
wasn't it?
It was
Yeah.
Halloween, yeah. I'm talking about us being named one of the top 100 TV podcasts by millionpodcast.com.
What was the website?
Millionpodcast.com.
Millionpodcast.com. We'll include a link to that list. Or how high are we on that list?
This is the first you're hearing of this, I'm guessing, right?
I think I was recently looking at our X for the first time in about 10 months.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I think I saw you tweet on there. And I was like, oh, well, you didn't share that with me in any other way.
Did
but
you
that's
unfollow
okay.
all the Republicans that I started following?
I want to stay up on the latest news, so I didn't do that. But
We ranked
that's
58 out of
interesting.
100. I mean, I'm glad Million Podcasts. I'm glad they didn't do top million. Who knows where we would have stood? You know?
Top 100. Wow. Was there a category? I don't remember if you said there was a category. TV. Okay. I mean, I feel pretty good about that.
58 seems. I feel like we should be in the 90s. If I'm being honest.
If I'm being honest, I'm not sure we should be on any list. But
I'm not sure what the metrics were. If I'm being honest.
just one guy listening to all of these TV podcasts.
He's like, these guys, they feel about 58-ish. Yeah, I think they just liked our candor. I think that's what the write-up
Good.
said.
All right, so here's the important question then.
Okay.
What's it like? Who's around us? Anybody we know?
Oh, okay. I think we should spend more time on this. Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
you thought you were just gonna say it and then just move on, but now
the
I
joke,
have questions.
it's a joke. Yeah, so we're actually behind Back to Bayside, which is a what's it called? Saved by the Bell. And
Yeah.
we're ahead of 6 seasons in a podcast, which is a community show.
Okay, all right. What's number one?
I'm guessing it's those darned Office ladies.
Probably.
Yeah, it's those darn Office ladies.
Who else is in like the top 3? I'm just curious.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Fake
I just wanted
Doctors,
a
Real
little bit more.
Friends with Zach Braff and Donald Faison. A
not
Golden
fair.
Girls podcast.
It's
I
not
know.
fair if you have celebrities. You know, there should be two
Well,
different categories.
We were on Home Improvement for a little while, so
We were Mark's friends. That was about our age. So
we both played Ronnie. All right, I'm moving on. The joke there was also, I have a son now, and I didn't last time we recorded. So, adapting
Buried
to
the
life with
lead
the little
there.
guy. Yeah, he's almost 3 months old. My son Henry's doing well, healthy, happy, smiley. It's made recording it's made doing everything kind of hard.
you have a new appreciation for me and my longevity on this podcast.
I told you this in person when we met up, and
I want to make sure the real, I want everyone to know, not just me.
I like that you didn't I was going to bring this up, but you wanted to make sure that you brought it up first.
It's the first thing I think about is I need more props.
Yeah, so I think I called you early on after he was born, and I was like, I give you a lot of credit for doing the podcast week in and week out with a little one, because it was hard for me to do this one. It's 3 months old, so yeah, Jordan. I don't think I was, and I don't. It's not. I don't think I wasn't sympathetic enough at the time. I thought you were just kind of being moody and difficult, but you were. It's just hard. It's
To be fair,
hard.
I've always been moody and difficult, so it's hard
Yeah.
to tell what
That was your
is
high
he
school
earnest?
superlatives. Yeah.
Yeah, moody and the most moody and difficult. That'd be tough. That'd be a tough one to win.
And we graduated with 500 people, so that was saying something.
Did we? 500? Wow.
Oh yeah, right around 500. Top 500 people we graduated with. Million list should do that. Yeah, no, he's
We're
great.
definitely number 58 and 59 on that list too.
Of course.
Yeah.
Hey, just new dad on the pod. That's all I got to say.
New dad.
Any questions for me about that?
No questions for you about that, but
I have a lot of
found
things to get through. And you have some
I found
things
myself,
too.
well,
Okay.
I did have some questions related to something else. I was watching the SNL 50.
No one's talking about the Home and Podcast 9, I gotta say.
Home and Podcast 9?
Yeah, we've been doing it 9 years.
Oh my goodness, have we?
Yeah, so I don't. No one's talking about it.
Well, 10. I mean, once we get to 10.
Okay, you're right. Once we get to 10,
Yeah,
people will be
nine's kind of
talking
a
about
strange number to do it.
Okay.
But I
Yeah,
I
carry
found
on.
myself thinking about you because we were both SNL fans, and
Yeah.
I assumed you're probably one of the few friends I have that would probably be tuning into that. Did you
I did watch. Yes.
Okay. Any sort of feedback or things that you enjoyed? I felt like
I thought it was too short.
it was like 2.5, 3 hours.
It was like 4 hours.
I did watch it. Like I didn't watch it live. I was watching it
I
after the
did.
fact, and I kept, the kids would go to bed, and we would try to turn it on after that. And I was like, man, this is like taking 5 nights of like it became a slog, So
Yeah, it's basically how I watch movies in like increments of 15 minutes now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched it live. Sam and Henry were down here for about the first 2 minutes, and then it was just me for 4 hours or whatever.
Sam bailed, huh?
Henry was getting crazy. He's getting cranky.
He didn't like the Steve
he likes
Martin
the
jokes.
new cast. He doesn't. Yeah, he's like, okay, enough of Martin Short. No, I thought it was good. Yeah, it was so long that there were some things that were better than others.
Sure.
But I'm trying to think of what stood out.
I think for me the biggest winner I would say was Eddie Murphy. He had a couple of good sketches in there, so I enjoyed.
Yeah,
I enjoyed him.
People liked him. I liked the Will Ferrell Goulet thing that kind of kicked off the show. I liked the montage of all the things that haven't aged well. What else did I like? The Q&A stuff always kills, and you're just like looking at the camera and you're like, oh, there's Steven Spielberg 2 rows up, or there's whomever.
Yeah,
but,
that was kind of fun to do every time they did anything related to the crowd or whatever is who's there. So
and they got Jack there, and I mean Jack's pretty old, so it's good to see Jack Nicholson.
Yeah. Sandler's
he won't come
tribute,
on the pod, but
no, he can get to that. Sandler's tribute was also nice and touching and covered a lot of the bases as well.
For sure. I feel like he does that kind of thing so often now that it doesn't get as much credit. Because he's done like the Chris Farley, he's done all kinds of variations of those kind of sweet songs, but yeah, always good. So I enjoyed it.
I'm glad we both enjoyed it.
But I do look forward to Home Podcast 10.
I mean, we are definitely starting the plans now, laying the groundwork. We're gonna get the whole gang back together. Your sister,
Bauer Sox.
who else?
Explorer DS. Tino Forche.
Some of our newer fans
who are
as
on
well. Yeah.
So many new fans now.
Castle's Corner.
Both, our kids, because it's like nepotism and that's what you do. Castle's Corner.
Yeah. We're going to bring back the Patreon for that too.
And the patriarchy. You know what I'm saying?
Has it ever left?
It didn't go. It came back again. Cool. We met up in Marshall a while ago. That was nice. I just wanted to reference that.
It was nice. We went to a bookstore, found some books. I just gave those books to my kids, and they were super excited about them.
Why did you hold off so long?
I did it as like a Valentine's gift. So,
Hey, you don't need a reason to give me a gift, Jordan. Just know that.
I did get you a gift.
You bought me a book. You bought me a book.
Don't you forget it. Have you been reading it, or has that just been hanging on the shelf? I think you said you wanted it for...
It's a shelfer. Yeah. It is on the shelf in my bedroom, so I sleep next to it.
So just by osmosis, I don't even remember who the author was.
Well, it's Ernest Hemingway, of course.
Oh, naturally. Yeah. Well, here comes the elitism again. Yeah, bring that back.
I've been trying to get us to start Hemingcast for years, but it's The Old Man and the Sea. I don't need to read it. I get it.
Yeah.
I know what it's about.
You are an old man, and you've been to the sea.
And I've been to the sea, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, this is kind of interesting. I'm just looking at my notebook.
Good segue.
10 years in, baby. So we've been in this house about a year, and one of the things we kind of just had to accept with it was there was one side where the fence was just it's kind of rotted. It was hanging on by a thread. Well, today a big wind came and part of the fence came down.
Awfully windy day in Michigan.
Yeah, it's going to be a problem or whatever.
Is this you asking me for help? You want me to come over? And
Well, I want to talk to you about an investment opportunity. No, I was thinking, okay, obviously the fence stuff. We've talked a lot about fences over the years privately.
More than anyone would suspect.
But I was thinking kind of a missed opportunity for Home Improvement, the show that this podcast was at one time about. They should have done an episode where like the fence incurred some kind of damage and how it just messed up the whole equilibrium between Wilson and Tim. You know what I'm saying? That would have been fun.
Yeah, definitely some missed opportunities there. Huh. There was never an episode where the fence was gone, you're saying?
I don't think I'm sure the fence got busted at some point with the hijinks that were on that friggin' show.
Yeah, Tim probably running it over with some lawnmower or
Yeah,
something.
but I think they should have done a thing where like the fence like busted or like it cracked in the middle. There was like a big hole in it, and how it just I don't know, just
It was a
things were
metaphor for
weird.
their life, you know?
Yeah, I think they
busted
needed
fence,
that fence.
busted
So,
life.
Yeah, you know, when the reboot happens, which it's definitely going to happen, everybody's getting younger.
Yeah.
I think they should do that episode.
One thing I was thinking as I was watching Shifting Gears is everyone's getting
Hey,
younger.
we're not there yet.
Sorry, that was definitely something I was thinking about.
Okay.
What else is on your list? It was funny because you said the other day that you wanted me to bring the banter, but I feel like you have double and triple down on your banter.
I didn't trust you to do it. Well, let's not even talk about why we didn't record the first time.
Let's not.
Okay. All right. I just felt like it's worth mentioning that Home Improvement is now on Netflix. So
And it just was on Disney Plus not that long ago, so it's just going to be everywhere now.
some people tweeted us when that happened. So, I thought that was worth referencing. I remember when we were watching it back in the day, I had to go to like Daily Motion or something. So,
Yeah, and you were like watching it. It was like slightly off in some way, so it could be not brought down or something.
Anything to save a buck, Jordan.
I
Anything to
know,
save a
trust
buck.
me, I'm aware with you.
Penny Pincher MD. That's all I got.
That's all you got. Okay.
Talk to me. What do you got?
Well, it is kind of like peak of basketball season.
I'm ready to hear your segue.
I've been watching a lot of basketball. It's a good time for basketball because A, Spartans are pretty good. B,
Party on.
You got a Tigers hat on. Well, the Pistons are pretty good as well. So I've been having a good time watching that. I'm in a basketball league right now. So
Okay.
just basketball is a big part of my life. And it made me think about something I felt like we didn't get closure on, which was
Okay.
our
Well, we
basketball
did get
draft.
closure.
I don't feel like we did.
closure.
Because
people voted and they said my team was better.
6 people voted, I think.
You
And
keep
we-
talking. I'm gonna get you the number.
And we all know that when you put the polls out, you have a certain bent to your questions and things like that. So
perhaps a liberal bias.
yeah, that's exactly what I
so
was thinking.
political today.
You are. I was thinking maybe what we should do is get an unbiased, impartial breakdown of our teams. I believe it was
It
like
was eight.
Eight.
It was 8 votes, Jordan.
I was off.
so-
I was definitely undercounting.
Take back what you said. You scallywag. All right, go ahead.
Oh boy. Yeah. So the home improvement hoop stars, I believe, and Colonel's crew.
Yeah.
So here's what I did. I've been using ChatGPT a lot at work,
oh wow.
and I thought ChatGPT could it handle a question like this? And boy, I thought it delivered. So I put in our teams. I said, "Listen, ChatGPT, you're an expert home improvement sitcom fan and basketball fan. So tell me,
Right.
which basketball team made up from characters from the TV show would be better and why?" Unsurprisingly, a lot of the things that it gave me a breakdown of every single player, and like a little note on each one, but then also an overall team strengths and weaknesses, and then who it thought would win. So I thought this was kind of interesting. A lot of the commentary was stuff that you and I had already brought up, so I'm not going to go through all of it. Like, for example, Brad, we both knew he was like the athletic one, right? And that's what
But of
what he
course.
said. Yeah. A couple things that were different from our takes. I thought Bud Harper was a good pick by me, and in fact, my second pick.
Yeah. That was a reach.
Yeah, ChatGPT agrees with you. Says an older guy and probably not very mobile. So that was
Yeah.
tough.
I mean, he's getting up there. For sure.
I was also a little shocked at the shade that was thrown at Stu Cutler. Said the
See,
description.
that I don't care for.
Yeah. Salesman type, likely not bringing much to the court, which I thought was just wrong, flat out wrong.
Well, he's what is that grounded in? Salesman type?
I don't know.
Yeah, this AI stuff's great, I tell you. Yeah.
I know it's good. Dave Chappelle was going to bring some quickness and unpredictability to the team. I'm just
I'll
going to go strengths and weaknesses for my team.
Okay.
Athleticism, in quotations, or in parentheses, Brad, Randy, and Dave were my athleticism. Toughness
Okay.
with Rock Lanigan, and rebounding with Al Borland. So I got some muscle.
Okay. I
Weaknesses,
don't know about Al as a rebounder, but maybe.
stocky but strong. That's what ChatGPT said.
That is true. Yeah.
Bud and Stu might not add much, was a weakness, which is tough because they were
Hey, when do you talk about my team?
coming next. Coming next, I want to go with Team 1, Team 2, and then the winner.
Okay. All right.
But ChatGPT thought we lacked a true star player, which I don't know if that means you have a star player, but we'll.
I thought Brad was a star player.
Me too. I was a bit suspect on that.
He's the number one pick of the draft.
All right, Team 2, your team, the Home Improvement Hoop Stars.
Yeah.
Tim Taylor, loves sports but is clumsy, high risk, high reward, which I think is probably how you felt
We
about
said
it.
something similar. Yeah.
Yeah. Larry Hankin, they talked all about height, so that was good.
That was a good pick.
Heidi, the tool girl, could be a good
Oh,
wing
yeah.
player, apparently.
Yeah, well, it's good that I opened my team up to women, unlike you.
Yeah. Jill Taylor,
Future
high school
female.
cheerleader, so she has some coordination and energy. I think
Yeah.
maybe my two favorite were Jason and Marie Morton. So Jason, the nerdy kid, likely not very athletic, just
Not nerd. He's
just
not nerdy.
just
He's
thrown
cool.
right off the team, basically.
Yeah.
Marie Morton, a motherly figure, unclear how she'd perform on the court. Some
Well,
strong
you try.
analysis. Some strong
You try.
analysis.
I could have done better than that.
All right, strengths. You got some physicality with Pete, Ian, and
Also.
Larry.
Yeah.
And some decent all-around contributors with Heidi and Jill. Weaknesses. You've got a clumsy star player, lack of a clear point guard, which is a big problem for you. Jason and Marie probably bringing your team down. So after all that, winner, apparently my team in a close but
Yeah.
scrappy game.
I mean, you wouldn't be saying all this if you didn't end up the winner. I mean, I think that was a foregone conclusion.
Basically, it said Brad gives me the edge, which, I had the first pick, so...
Well, yeah. I mean, that doesn't surprise me too much. It just kind of depends on if you want your news from people, like the poll that I did, or if you want it from robots. That's kind of where I'm at.
You know what? At this point, I see a lot of news from people. I think I might take the robots.
Yeah, people aren't so great. All
I
right,
also
fair
spent
enough.
some time on. I went down a very deep rabbit hole here, but I also said who should we have picked? Like, who'd we forget?
Yeah.
And it gave 3 different
Okay, let's hear.
categories: elite picks, good role players, and wild cards. So
Okay, give me one of each.
yeah, okay. I have to give you at least 2 of the elite picks.
Fine.
Because they're insane. Well, first one's
Okay.
Wilson, whatever. Second one, Marty Taylor. Apparently, because he's younger than Jeff, and that makes him
Yeah,
a
I
solid
mean,
role
Marty
player.
was on my big board, but he's annoying, so I didn't want him.
You're the second one on this that
Well,
surprised
Andy's
me.
in Africa most of the time. So.
Yeah, that's a problem. Benny Baroni.
I mean, again, it's like size. He's got a big body, can box people out.
I
Yeah.
also liked Mark Taylor was labeled a good role player because in his goth phase, he might have an edge and be a scrappy defensive-minded player.
Yeah, but that goth phase didn't last very long, you know? So
Well,
you gotta
it just
get him back
depends
to
when you
goth.
get him. It depends when you get him, right?
Okay, yeah, it does depend when you get him.
Harry and Shruti were both wild cards, high risk, high reward. So,
Judy, Trudy, show me that booty.
anyways, I'm not sure if we feel any
That was
better about our
great.
teams, but I had to first I was like, is this a good idea? Ultimately, it was not. But after it gave me all that information, I had to go down that.
Well,
hole.
I had forgotten we'd done that, so
Yeah.
it was a nice reminder of, I think, what was one of our best episodes of all time.
Loose Screws Volume 2, I believe.
That's just great content, and that's why we got the ads now, because those episodes are getting so many listeners.
That's why.
Yeah. All right. Well,
We got to shift
shifting
gears.
gears. Okay. All right. I do think we should say that every time we switch scenes in this episode. So let's
I think
try
we
to keep
can.
that up.
We can try. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I actually have something to say before you. No, you go. You get into your thing, and then I'll say what I have to say.
Yeah. All right, the episode we did was the pilot called Restoration. This one already had almost 500 reviews on IMDb with a 6.6 out of 10. Aired on January 29th of this 2025 year.
Feels like it was yesterday.
Yeah, directed by John Pasquin. You know, you get some, I don't know, Home Improvement reunion vibes going on here. He did almost 40
Santa Claus.
episodes. Yep, did Last Man Standing, Santa Claus. This was written by husband and wife, I believe, Julie Thacker Scully and Mike Scully. Julie did a couple episodes of The Simpsons, Fuller House, and your favorite, The Trouble with Larry.
Oh, I loved that show.
He loved it. He loved it. And Mike is known...
Is that a Larry the Cable Guy show?
I have no idea. I have never heard of it in my life.
don't worry
I think it
about
was
it,
too old to be Larry Cable Guy when I was scrolling down the list. So
Larry's pretty young, so
he's a young guy. Get her done.
Upstart. Get her.
Mike is known for Parks and Rec, which is maybe my favorite show of all time. Simpsons,
Yeah.
Everybody Loves Raymond. He's got quite a nice catalog.
How the mighty have fallen.
You know, they only did the pilot, and then they are not associated with this project anymore. So
They're like, we're setting things up. You guys play in the sandbox now.
and now they can just kind of blame everyone else. Like, we gave you the perfect platter, you know, and you
Look,
just
it
spilled
was all
everything.
there.
All right, that's what I got. So what do you got?
Okay, so this is just kind of an anecdote. You know, when we were supposed to record originally earlier in February, I turn on my TV. I you know how you turn on the TV and it just like it shows like this is a Roku in the basement, so it just has like basically like panels for shows and movies that kind of aren't affiliated to any specific streaming service. Does that make
Sure.
sense?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I saw Shifting Gears and I clicked on it and, you know, I guess Hulu was synced up and it just started playing. And I get into the episode and I'm thinking like, you know, I really respect this show for how it's not really setting things up. It's acting like we should just know who these people are, what their relationships are, like no hand-holding whatsoever. And I was thinking, well, that's different than sitcoms usually are, because usually it's just so, like, I don't know, black and white and cut and dry in the first episode. So I watched the whole friggin' thing, and I come to the end, and it was episode 3.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
it doesn't sound quite like the
So-
episode I watched. So
Yeah, so I've actually watched Shifting Gears. I watched 3 times, 2 different episodes. So
Wow.
I'm kind of a connoisseur. Yeah, I will say episode 3 is worse than episode 1 for what it's worth, but it does end with a Santa Claus joke. So
wow,
there's
that's
that.
pretty good. Maybe
Yeah.
you were missing something by not watching episode 2 as well. Like, there's probably something really important in the middle there.
Episode 3, it felt like a pilot, like she gets a job.
Oh,
But I was like, oh, she's just already there. Like, I don't know. I honestly wrote down in my notes, like, you got to respect the lack of hand holding. But well, it wasn't the case. It was just, for whatever reason, took me to episode 3.
now you
so that was great.
disrespect it after
I have a
watching
lot
it.
of time on my hands, so it was good to be able to watch this.
Yeah, that's what I
any case.
get now from you being a
Yeah.
new parent. You have a lot of time in your hands. So.
Yeah, a lot of time on my hands. So,
All right.
but because of the multiple viewings, I have 8 alternative titles.
I'm sorry. Did you say 8?
I said 8. Yep.
Okay, and these are all for just the first episode.
Yep.
Okay, well, you might as well go first because I did 3 and I stopped. So
Okay. All right. So the episode was called Restoration. We're gonna start with remote. Who's in control?
that's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
How about pit stop at Papa's?
That's a good one. Jordan, how about Snark Tank?
How about a
You gotta love those
reverse?
topical Shark Tank
Yes.
references.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
go ahead.
We spent a lot of time on Shark Tank in that episode.
Well, it's a brand new show, right? It hasn't been around for 20 years.
It's taken the culture by storm. Reversal of fortunes.
How about One Broke Girl?
And my last one is bridging the gap.
They just say that in the episode, so that's a little.
Well, there's a
easy.
gap. There's a gap there between the relationship.
Indeed. How about Gear? Because it's called Shifting Gears. How's that striking you? Pretty
You don't need to explain it. Thanks for.
This is my worst one. No, it's not. Like father, like daughter. Okay. How about James and the Giant Divorce? Of course, James is Kat Dennings' bass guitar playing husband.
The giant
So
divorce.
good. I couldn't have the character's last name be Parker without doing Parker, barely know her. And then lastly, fitting, last Matt standing.
Wow.
Kind of a murderer's row.
Yeah, I don't know how you would ever. I mean, I understand why you didn't cut any out. They all had to be said.
I actually did cut one out. It's called Matt's Big Hole, because there is a hole joke, and it kind of reminded me of Mark's.
There
Big
is
Hole.
a whole joke. Oh.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
So shifting gears, go ahead. First scene.
Naturally. Let's open in the garage. I think we're going to spend a lot of time in the garage in this show. So
Yeah.
might as well open
Yeah.
there. You've
Gotta.
got Gabriel, played by
I'm not gonna be able to do these characters' names. It's gonna be like
No?
Stifler and
No,
yeah,
you're just gonna
it's
say
be hard.
Stifler, sweet
yeah.
talking to the car, you know.
Yeah.
So Sean William Scott, as he mentioned, Stifler, he's talking to a car in the garage that they must be working on, and then Ed there is mocking him. Ed, played by Daryl Chill Mitchell. I thought this
Yeah.
was nice because Galaxy Quest. Yeah, we get a little bit of reunion there between Tim and Daryl. So Ed's mocking him, trying to get him back to work before they mess up the boss's mood. Apparently he's in a good mood, which, you know, we learn later that he's kind of never in a good mood. So
It's a weird thing in this show because, unlike Last Man Standing, he's kind of cranky in this show. Kind of weird.
The whole first scene, I thought, oh no, this is just Last Man
Softens a
Standing.
little bit. He
Yeah, it
softens
does.
a little
It
bit.
does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The character, is his last name Parker? Is that what it is?
Yeah, Parker
Tim?
barely know her.
Okay.
Matt Parker.
I thought it was Mike.
It's Matt.
Okay.
It's Matt.
You gonna double
I've
check?
watched it twice.
I believe you now. Tim goes on a Last Manding style rant, basically, about
Yeah,
America nowadays.
yeah.
So that's,
Yeah, it's great.
it got off to a rough start. Yeah. So they're kind of hanging out there in the garage, and all of a sudden an old car, I should say,
new
comes
old
in.
car, yeah.
A new old car Tim hasn't seen for 15 years. It's
Yeah.
his old GTO with his daughter and grandkids. Things are pretty tense right away between them, so we know something's going on.
Yeah. 15-year joyride, Jordan.
Yikes. So apparently she just took the car and left, which we're
Yeah,
going to find
that
out
must have
more
been
in
quite a fight.
the next scene. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you explain? There is a big hole joke in this scene. And the joke is like about diabetes, and
Yes.
I think Tim, as Matt says, if you want to get rid of diabetes, you have to have this hole pointing to your mouth be bigger than that hole pointing to your butt. So, like, can you walk me through what that means?
I mean, I think I just kind of let it go past me. I just assumed.
Okay.
I assumed it was like, "Hey, stop eating food" type of joke, but I didn't stop and go back and write down the text.
I mean, okay, but like, you have me with the first hole. You're like, oh, you want this hole to be small. I guess that means you don't put food. But when you start talking about the hole around back, I didn't get it. And I know it's a couple who wrote this. I'd like to get them on the pod.
They wrote that one and they were out. So I don't know if they're going to want to talk about the show ever again.
All right, shifting gears, we cut to the credits, and it's really short. It's just the family getting out of a car, basically. There might be like tread marks as it burns out or something. I don't know. Who cares? Home.
Who cares?
So the key was left under the Ronald Reagan gnome. You know, you're going to get some political stuff in this.
Sure.
Basically, we find out that Kat Dennings' mother has passed away recently, and Tim's wife, and it's just been hard. We'll find out later it's been hard for him since then, but she passed away, and Kat came back for the funeral, but it wasn't a good situation. She didn't stay at the house. She barely spoke to him. It made a sad affair even sadder. We found out a little bit about why she's back I think episode 3 they're in Los Angeles, so I think they're living in Los
Seemed
Angeles.
like California.
Yeah. She was with a musician named James, obviously James and the Giant Divorce. She dropped out of college. She married him, got pregnant. She drove. She like had been living in Vegas, but too much time on the road for old James, and I think we can safely say he strayed from the marriage, so they're getting a divorce. And again, she's broke, which is kind of her brand at this point, I guess. Like, she was playing broke people.
She's getting typecast at this point.
Yeah, she's like, I got some money. She needs a place to stay. She says that the mother's death was a wake-up call. I think that's kind of all I got.
The only other thing I wrote about this scene was
Yeah.
that kind of at the end. This is
Well, he
maybe
does let them stay, of course.
he does let them stay.
Yeah,
But in that scene where he says like you can stay, he like does this awkward touch of her foot as like
Kind of funny.
So that
Yeah.
was probably the first moment I was like, huh, they wrote a good line here or a good moment.
Yeah,
So,
it was kind of funny. Yeah, he
Yeah.
doesn't quite know where to put his hand. I was looking at this house, and I suppose you can chalk it up to the wife's influence, but I don't believe that this character would live in this house.
I mean, it seems
Just
like
with the
they've been
decor.
married for a long time.
Yeah.
They seem relatively wealthy. He owns his
Yeah.
own shop, and I think
Yeah.
probably we're gonna learn more about like the sifter and stuff. So she probably had a big influence on the house, and he hasn't wanted to change a thing.
Big house. I mean, not quite as big as yours, but pretty big.
I mean, nobody's house is as big as mine. So
Yeah. All right. Shifting gears. Go ahead.
next morning at breakfast, Mike and the grandkids are watching news, and we're gonna get some more like news, political jokes, and how the news is bad and whatever.
I kind of liked the "you have to stay informed" joke.
You have to stay informed, kids. Yeah, he's like railing about the
Yeah.
news, and the kids are like, "Why are you watching it?" And he's like, "You gotta
'Cause
stay
you have to
informed."
It's kind of funny. Yeah.
And then I think he says something else about like the girl in green on TV. She's kind of nice, and the older grandkid, who I believe his name is Carter, says like she's like 80, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, I guess that's on brand because you're old." And I felt like
Carter
Tim
is. Please.
Sorry, I was gonna say Tim looked pretty old. Like I feel like he's got some short sleeves on, so you see his arms a little bit
He's
more.
jacked, though.
Yeah, I guess.
He is jacked.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean he's old. He's older, but
He's
I
older,
thought he's
yeah.
pretty cut. The character's name is Carter, and he's played by Maxwell Simpkins. That was my Jeff Goldblum. 16 credits to his name. Best known for the Mighty Ducks Game Changers,
Yeah,
the
buddy.
TV series. Bizarre Vidark.
Is that the character?
Yeah, and then one of your favorites, the Chicken Squad. He
I was
Little
gonna
Boo
say
Boo, Big
actually,
Blue, and
my
Little Boo.
kids probably love this guy because he's in both Super Kitties and Chicken Squad, which my kids have had phases of both of those shows. So yeah,
Can't wait. And then the little girl is Barrett Margolis. And Jordan, this is her first credit.
yeah, she's gonna break out after this.
This
episode.
could be the next Meryl Streep. Carry on.
So Riley comes in, and we learn that she has a no screens at meals rule.
Policy?
And Mike's not on board with this at all. So we've got to.
Matt. His name's
Sorry,
Matt.
I wrote down Mike. I need to update it. They're gonna have a moment to butt heads here. First of many, I'm
Do you think
sure.
do you think she should come in and immediately like start trying to change? I know it's your father, but maybe she should have chilled with the phone thing. I mean, she just got there.
I mean, you gotta set expectation for your kids, but this is kind of a small thing. She's not going at her dad as much as at her kids. Like, kids should.
Can
know
I ask you a
better.
question? So during this scene, I could see like an RV in the background. Are they staying in an RV or are they staying in the house?
I was wondering that because there's a later scene where she gets off the phone with her brother and she's like out there, and that was confusing to me. I would say that's just there, and it's just
Well, it feels kind of pointless to just have it there, though.
maybe it's something where Tim and
think
his
they're
wife used to
setting it up
travel
for
and
later?
stuff. Well, no, I thought Tim and his wife maybe used to travel around with that or something. So I don't know.
Okay, all right.
But we see
RV
later,
was
like,
one of the best characters. Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of always lingering there, so it
The
had
RV
its
was there.
impact on the screen. So,
Mm-hmm.
anyways, so
She
Mike,
needs a job.
yeah, Mike wants to know the plan. She wants to get the kids in school, get a job. They start arguing about law school, which is apparently something Matt always wanted her to do.
It's
Seems
the
like-
classic, you like to argue, you should go to law school, which I remember like a lot of people in high school kind of saying.
Yeah,
In speeches about their career, I like to argue, I'm going to go to law school.
it's a joke. It's timeless, really. So,
Yeah, I laughed this time.
Yeah. Should we shift gears?
I just wanted to first call out the Barbie and Shark Tank references that end the scene, and the little girl does say she doesn't need a man to feel complete, so, there's that. Shifting gears to Parker Custom Cars. They take the kids to the auto shop,
Yeah.
and this was kind of abrupt, but suddenly Carter says that Matt's Instagram is lame, which I was just surprised that the Tim Allen character had an Instagram at all.
Can't be managed by him, right?
I kind of felt like it was. Very quickly, Carter pulls out his phone and they start live streaming. And this kind of dovetails into sort of a strange role play where Matt is a detective and his granddaughter is named Trixie. And she's I'm not going to say what she is or isn't, but it's strange. And she gets murdered. And this sort of storytelling goes on for a while. It's about a detective. But the scene kind of quickly ends when he offers to take them for a ride, and Kat Dennings' character, whose name is Riley, just kind of is going to chill there for a little bit.
Yeah, she's like, I need a break.
Shifting gears.
I need a break from Papa. So,
Yeah.
this is probably the second laugh that I got. This is like at the end of the ride, potentially, or like they've gone for a ride. Now they're back in the parking lot of the shop. And Georgia asks why they're back and if Papa needs to go pee again. I thought that was pretty good line
you like
there.
that, huh?
I did like it. I thought it was good.
Old man, he got a small bladder.
As a man who has to go to the bathroom all the time now, it's...
Oh, boy, you're
resonated.
talking to a Hall of Fame peer right here.
So Tim here offers his grandson a chance to drive in the car, and he says, nah, I've got Uber, and we get another kind of LMS-style rant here about kids, like, needing to, I don't know, take
Not
control.
overly effective,
No.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't. I wrote a note. It's like I don't know why Tim wants to be so cynical in his roles. Like everything that people like him in, or like the beloved stuff, Santa Claus, Tim Taylor. These are not cynical kind of tough loving guys. But in his later years, he's really gravitated towards.
Well, and
that,
the interesting,
for whatever
we'll
reason.
get to our highs and lows, but interestingly,
Yeah.
I feel like from this point on, there's less of that, and it's a better episode because of that.
Yeah,
So
I would agree.
Yeah. So we're going to go back in the garage. We've got Stifler and Kat diagnosing the car. It seems like they're old friends, and we find out that Gabriel is old friends with Riley's older brother.
Yeah, you
Or
got to
best
figure that's
friends
gonna
or something
amount
like
to
that.
something.
Yeah. And we get reference to the brother later in the episode, so at some point I'm going to come back around.
I think they're setting up a romantic possibility here in the future.
You think?
Yeah, that was what I got out of the scene. Seemed kind of flirty. That's just my guess.
I think you're right about that.
Let's just read the tea leaves.
Yeah, and we learned that Gabriel thinks that Matt isn't so bad. I mean, I guess he's his boss after all. But apparently he walks on
Gabriel.
water.
What a sitcom name. Yeah.
We do also learn that like Riley's ex-husband got all the girls apparently, and then you get some flirting here. I feel like where he says he was mad that Jimmy got the one he didn't deserve, pointing to Kat. She's like flattered.
I like that you call James Jimmy. You guys on good terms?
I think she first mentions him as Jimmy.
Okay, so all right, fair enough.
But you've really gravitated toward the James name because it fits your alternative title.
James is a giant divorce. I thought Stifler looks good. I think he's aging
He looks
well.
good. He's probably the smoothest person in this episode too.
Yeah, I think for this show to be successful, they're going to need to like give him a lot more to do.
Yeah, I wanted to see him more in this episode.
All right,
So.
shifting gears. I don't know if we referenced at the end of the last scene when they were in the car, but eventually Tim does goad Carter into taking the wheel, and he's kind of driving around the parking lot. It's a very unrealistic backdrop. I'll continue as we shift gears to the auto shop here. Kat Riley is talking to Chill Mitchell, and basically he describes that Matt's been, kind of just in a tough way, sort of pissed off since his wife died, and things have been kind of bad. There's a happy hour joke where she says, like, what does he do for the other 59 minutes or something? That's an attempt at humor.
I guess. Yeah, I didn't like that one very much.
He assures her, he being Daryl Chill Mitchell, can't say that enough, that Matt's happy that she's here, But the scene abruptly comes to an end when Carter crashes the car, I guess kind of outside or something, and it prompts
It kind of
everybody
like
to go out.
hits the part of the garage, like just misses the garage essentially. He didn't pull all the way in, so not a big accident, but one that's going to cost a little bit of money.
I would say this show suffers from the thing that I feel like all sitcoms these days do, where all the sets look so cheap and fake. I don't know when that happened. Like when you watch Home Improvement, you don't think that like the house they live in like looks fake, but
Seems like a
all
real
these
house.
like all these like CBS, Fox, ABC shows, like everything looks so fake. Like do you notice that? Do you feel that way as well?
It seems like
So sterile. And
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
whatever.
Sterile is the right word. That's what I
Yeah.
was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe that's just the design, modern design at this point, because they're all trying to look modern. You just want to see
Yeah.
more grease. You're kind of a grease monkey yourself, so
Ooh, yeah, yeah, when I was in this auto shop, it felt like home to me. I was like, we put some chassis on these SOBs or what? All right. Yeah, we're shifting gears. Go ahead.
things are a little tense now, right? We just had a little bit of an accident.
Yeah.
And we're going back to Matt's house, and
Gotta.
they're going to argue about first, forcing Carter to drive, but then it quickly turns into Tim's parenting style of Kat when they were growing up, and fighting over the funeral, and just a lot of animosity that needs to come out here.
Mom was a
and-
peacekeeper.
Yeah, mom was the bridge, the thing that made this relationship able to survive. And Riley is, yep, you're making the bridge. For those who can't see, you're making a beautiful bridge with your hands. Riley's ready to go already. She's like,
Yeah.
I don't know what my options are, but I'm out of here. But Carter's been listening just up the stairs a little bit, and he comes right down and says, no, I don't want to go. I like it here, and this isn't Pop's fault. I like that they call him Pops, not... I mean, they call him Papa, Pops, whatever. But
Pops is cool.
He's no grandpa. He's Pops.
No, not when you're built like that.
So we find out that Carter stole his mom's car a while back and hit
Yeah.
their fence and has been scared to drive ever since.
Yeah.
And we get a joke here about she blamed it on the neighbor kid not knowing, and she's not happy about that. So, yeah, I guess they're going to stay.
Do you have anything else you want to say as we transition to the next scene?
It is funny that, I guess very quickly Carter is happy to see his grandpa and be with his grandpa, and maybe he's getting more attention, and he's been missing a father figure because James, he's not a giant peach.
The listening to, we get a quick cut of him listening to them talk on the stairs. Kind of reminded me of something from Home Improvement where someone's like listening. Do you remember? It was like really corny.
Well, I know. I
can't
feel like
remember.
people are always sitting on those stairs listening or doing something in that show. So
Yeah, I just remember a specific one where it was like really cheesy, but I don't know. There's 200 episodes of that show, so hard to remember. Shifting gears later, Tim's playing video games with the kids. He seems to have a good relationship with the grandkids. It doesn't show that they don't see each other very much. It seems like it sort of just picks up in a positive way. Tim and Riley, Matt and Riley reminisce about their mother. And this is, I feel like we say this every Tim Allen thing we talk about, right? Like, you know what I'm going to say? It's that when he gets sort of emotional and things get a little like, I don't know, just things get a little bit real and sad and he has to play those emotions. It's just so much better from an acting perspective, a storytelling perspective. Like, it's just... This is the show. This is when it's nice, and this is when
it was a very impressive performance right here.
they have chemistry here, and it just like all the snark and all the like political stuff. It just like washes away, and you're like, oh, this is a family show. Like, this is nice. He reminisces. He talks about he doesn't want to wash the flour sifter. And he kind of gets into like he just a
He
brief
shares
outline.
He shares the morning
Yeah.
that she passed essentially, and that she
Right,
was using that flour sifter that morning. So
Yeah, and she
Yeah.
went for a run, and then he kind of quickly, and then she wasn't here anymore, and they hug. And this is sort of where the compromise comes into play. With the mother having passed, they need to build their own bridge.
this is the second great compromise in the history of America.
What was the first one?
I don't know. There's something called the Great Compromise, and I can't think of it right now.
Okay, all right.
I just remember it being something we learned in history class.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, it was about the Senate and the Constitution, of course.
Well, that worked out well, and we're in a great place now. So what else is there to say? There's a Nancy Pelosi joke. I don't remember what it was. And there's kind of they get real, and then they get a little sassy again. And there's some talk about an insurance claim being filed for the car, and then Riley says, "Well, you might get in trouble for child endangerment."
Should have been a lawyer. Matt was right all
gears.
along.
Yeah.
Boy. Final scene here. We should shift gears to it. Dinner time with the family. The kids are helping set the table at Matt's insistence, so they're continuing to learn from Grandpa. And then he goes on another LMS style rail against pickleball in favor of tennis, which personally I'm for.
Yeah, that was the one that I was like, okay, he's onto something here.
Yeah. Riley is exasperated at this conversation, I guess, as we all are. But you know what? She tried to make Mom's biscuits, which is a great effort. You know, Tim
I've
says
heard of
like
Mom's spaghetti, but Mom's biscuits.
Well, they might actually
have preferred spaghetti.
Yeah, I think so, because everyone says it's very dry and terrible, and that's how the episode ends. But you know, we see light at the end of the tunnel here.
Roll credits fade to black. Restoration. Jordan, what did you think of this one? Highs and lows.
Yeah, I've trying to think of overall. I think overall it was an okay episode. I think I mentioned this earlier. I think the second half of the episode was vastly superior than the first half of the episode. We touched on Tim's emotional acting, and I think that was probably the high point of the show. So that's definitely a high for me. There's a lot of arguing.
Yeah.
I guess it seems realistic in a way. Like, I think they do a good job yelling at each other. I don't know. I didn't get enough of Stifler in this episode. No. He's kind of playing a bit part, so I expect, by episode 3, you tell me, is he got a little more to do? I hope so.
It was a little more. In episode 3, he kind of has like almost a Wilson Tim scene with the Matt character. Like they I feel like they're setting that up a little bit, but not as much to do as you might think.
Yeah. There's a couple lines that I laughed at, or a couple moments that I thought were comically awkward, funny, like the one where he doesn't know what to do, so he grabs her foot and things like that. So it's okay, but ultimately, my least favorite parts of the episode are Tim ranting and things like that. So, but I got some very strong, like, 8 Simple Rules vibes when the grandpa comes on that show as well.
Man, if they could get a James Garner, they'd really have something.
Yeah. So anyway,
or David Spade.
Yeah, there was echoes of that in this for me, which I enjoyed that show when it was on. So, tell me your highs and lows.
Sure. So I think I like this better than Last Man Standing, right? You
I
probably
think so
do
too.
as well.
Yeah. Sure.
It's a bit softer. I think the cast overall is this has good actors. Like, it
pretty
has
strong.
Sean William Scott. Kat Dennings has never been like my favorite, but like, she's a big name. Obviously Tim, you got Chill. I don't even mind the kids as much as in maybe other shows. Like the Last Man Standing kids. Like, who's that kid that did that we used to talk about?
Jet Jurgens or something?
Jurgensmeyer. Yeah. I mean, no, I'm sure he's doing great. But I felt like the kids were a little better. So the cast is there. That seems like there's some talent. Maybe it'll grow into something. I think Tim looks great. Jacked, love it. Wearing some tight shirts, looking real macho.
I hope I look like that when I'm 70. Something.
No kidding. Yeah, he really does look good. And I like the emotional scene at the end. It's impactful. You can't have something like that every episode, but it did feel like you said in the second half where they tried to soften it a little bit, and of course that's going to work better for us. Lows, it's not really that funny. For a comedy, I think there was a couple of laughs, but it's not too funny. I mentioned the Kat Dennings thing. It's not. I've never been like a super fan of hers, so I had a thought as I was watching the show that I meant to say earlier. But like, this is the kind of show where basically when the characters are only ever talking about other characters that aren't around. If that makes sense. So when Kat Dennings is in a scene with Stifler, they're talking about Matt, and when Matt is with it's just like the conversations only talk about the other characters, which it feels kind of like stilted and kind of plotty. I don't know if that's making sense, but maybe kind of shoddy writing. Like it doesn't feel very naturalistic at all. Yeah, generally like it looks and feels kind of just very sitcom-y, which it is. So there's nothing wrong with that. I kind of predict this won't get a second season. And my thought process is like, I feel like it doesn't go hard enough with the rants to satisfy the Last Man Standing audience. And I don't think it's soft enough or like funny enough, nice enough for people that don't like that. So I think it's kind of in this middle ground that
classic America right now, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, maybe it's as simple as that. But yeah, I kind of don't know if this will get a second season. I don't think I like it better than Last Man Standing. I think it could be something eventually. This was not the worst. I thought it was going to be worse.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I left thinking I would at least, like, if I were actually interested in watching, I pretty much just watch sports at this point, but if I was interested in watching a new show, I might watch a couple more episodes of this and see where it goes. But we'll see. I hope it gets, we're always rooting for Tim, so I hope it does get a second season, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know what I'm talking about. But that's just kind of my thought, where I don't really know who this satisfies. But hey. Let's talk Twitter for a second.
Let's do that. What have you been doing over on the old X?
Yeah, X, sorry. I forget. I did do a poll for Shifting Gears. And the poll says, Tim Allen's new show, Shifting Gears, is, and the options were good, bad, okay. I haven't watched it yet. 26 total votes, Jordan, so that's nothing to sneeze at.
Way better than the basketball team.
Yeah. 11.5% said bad. 19.2% said okay. 30.8% said good. And 38.5% said haven't watched it yet.
Those people need to get on the stick.
They had to get on the stick.
You've never heard that one before?
No. Let's see.
I think every 50 episodes, I say some idiom you've never heard of before.
Well, you are 200 years old, so that makes sense. Let's see here. I think we did get some responses. Bear with me. At Saginaw Cheese, longtime listener, he said that he was hoping it would scratch kind of a nostalgic itch, but it didn't. He gave it 2 episodes and he just couldn't really sink his teeth into it. So I don't know. I watched 2 episodes. I don't think anything is ever going to scratch the Home Improvement nostalgic itch, because he's trying for such a different thing nowadays. Other than that, yeah, I don't know. That's really all on Twitter. We got some new. Here's more. Sarah Shortstuff said it's not too bad. I love Kat Dennings. The actors who play her kids are a bit annoying. There's only been 1 episode though. We'll continue to watch, hoping it gets better. Matt said, I watched the first episode. It's Tim Allen, so it's good. Cheesy and mediocre acting from the other cast, but it's good. LOL. Nick Z said, good. Still kind of the same tone as Last Man Standing. Home Improvement, father raising kids and navigating his career. Last Man Standing, same but in modern times. Shifting Gears, now with the view from the grandparent perspective. So,
fair enough.
Seems like, people are liking it. But we got some new iTunes reviews.
I was going to say, I don't remember what we had last time, but 82 I'm seeing right now.
Yeah,
reviews.
Hey, can you read those? I don't have them pulled up.
There's one here from Dennis Podman. Did you read that one?
I can read it. It's called, the subject is nice, and it's great pod, good guys.
Yeah. And there's another one that's from Tim Allen 007.
Oh, man, he would have been a great Bond.
He would have been a great Bond. This is the best home improvement podcast I've ever heard in my life. I agree.
Well, you gotta agree it's better than friggin' grunt work. I mean, come on. You know it is. We're up to 82. If we get to 100, I think we should have a parade or something.
If we get to 100 by the 10-year anniversary,
that would, okay. Ambitious,
but not impossible.
You and I are going to have to buy a bunch of Apple products to make that happen. But,
they also have some reviews on Spotify separately, and there's 6 there, so we can combine them together and say we got 88.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, that's so we only need 12. So yeah, calling out to listeners. Leave us a review if you haven't already. Jordan, you got anything else you want to talk about here? Shifting gears one final time.
I think I've said all I'm gonna say to you today.
I think if a home improvement person comes on Shifting Gears, which they might, I would watch it.
Sure. Who would you like to see?
Ooh, now we're talking. Okay. Well,
He's done some stuff with Al in recent years, so I feel like.
okay,
so
we've
say
seen
Karn,
PR.
Karn.
Yeah, I mean, you have his cell phone number. You could at least call him by his real name.
It's definitely. Should I call him right now?
I told you I interviewed John Harbaugh for work, and it was the biggest interview I'd had since the Home Improvement people. So that was
Karn, man. Yeah.
that was a big one. Yeah, I mean, like if they could ever get, well, JTT was on Last Man Standing. I want Taron Noah Smith because I don't think he's ever done anything after Home Improvement. I want to get him on the show.
Why not?
That'd be great. He could play Matt's other son. That'd be sweet. And Riley's sister. Riley's brother. All right, okay, let's go. Jordan, thank you for joining me. Listeners, thank you for listening. And I guess I should say, take care.
Take care, everybody.